Welcome back. Today's recipe is an open-faced sandwich with pan-fried salmon, dill cream, shaved asparagus, and we're going to top it all off with a couple of quail eggs. I call it Salmon Croquet. I won't lie, it's going to take a little bit of prep and some specialty ingredients, specifically the quail eggs, but it's worth it. We're going to use English muffins and dill cream as the base of the dish. If you've ever made tzatziki sauce before, you'll recognize the list of ingredients. The only difference between dill cream and tzatziki sauce is I'm going to be cutting back a little bit on the garlic, and instead of Greek yogurt, I'm going to use sour cream. We'll start off the dill cream with a little bit of diced cucumber. I'm going to take the tip off of each side, and then we're going to get rid of the skin using a vegetable peeler. Next up, we're going to cut this in half lengthwise. Grab a bowl and a spoon, and then use your spoon to just get rid of the seeds. Now that that's seeded, we'll dice it up. Just cut lengthwise ribbons here, and then just bring your knife through. Really want to save yourself some time. You can go ahead and use a food processor to make all of this, but I find that the food processor makes everything cut a little bit too fine, and then the cucumber gives up a lot of its water, and that's going to make your dill cream a little bit runnier than we'd like. I recommend sticking with my recipe. That's about good as far as the size of the chunks of the cucumber. Grab a large mixing bowl and then add 16 ounces of full fat sour cream. Add your cucumber to that. And then add 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. This is going to brighten up the flavors, and it's also going to bring some acidity to the party, which the salmon will appreciate. And then about 3 cloves of diced garlic. I know what you might have heard when the recipe calls for 3 cloves of garlic, use 12. Don't do that. We want the garlic to play a very small part in this production. We'll grab a handful of dill weed here. Get rid of the stalks. Chop that up. Grind a little bit of black pepper, and then a good sprinkle of kosher salt, and mix that together with your spatula. Cover this with saran wrap and then put it in your refrigerator for at least an hour. It'll taste okay now, but it won't be right until all the flavors have had time to mix together. We're going to put the salmon on top of a bed of shaved asparagus. That's going to provide the dish with a little bit of crunch in addition with the English muffins that we're going to toast. You want to set your asparagus flat and then use your vegetable peeler and just run long and thin strips over top. And make sure you keep your tips, because that's about the tenderest part of the asparagus. Once you have a good amount of that prepared, put it in a bowl and then just spritz it with a touch of lemon juice. It's going to add even more acidity to the dish, but it's also going to keep the asparagus nice and green and keep it from oxidizing. Take out your salmon fillets, and then we're going to season them on all sides with a generous portion of kosher salt and black pepper. Go ahead and use a lot of black pepper. The most important thing is that you got fresh fish. Set your oven range to exactly medium, and then add a tablespoon of olive oil to your largest nonstick frying pan. And then we're going to give that a few minutes to come to temperature. Once your pan and the oil is sufficiently heated up, we're going to add 1 fillet skin side up. We're going to let this cook for 4 minutes with the skin side up, and then 2 minutes on each additional side. Your pan's really going to heat up over the course of cooking the fish, so don't be afraid to drop the temperature down just a little bit if you start to see a little bit of smoke. Now that these are fully cooked, you're going to let them rest on a cooling rack while we prepare the quail eggs. Quail eggs, let's talk about them. You can order them online, but I don't recommend it. And no matter how many precautions that the seller takes, they always seem to get damaged in transit. Best place that you can get them reliably is at your local Asian market. These don't taste a bit different from the eggs that you normally eat with breakfast. They're just smaller. If you've ever made fried eggs before, you're probably familiar with this technique, but these are quail eggs. Quail eggs cook super fast. So again, we're gonna have a small non-stick skillet with a tight fitting lid, and this time we're gonna set our heat to medium low. This is tricky because we want to have enough heat to cook the bottom part of the eggs and to generate some steam to cook the top part of the eggs. But we don't want to have so much heat that it cooks the yolk. The yolk's going to actually interact with the fish as kind of like a sauce. So we want to keep the yolks as runny as possible. These are going to cook lightning fast, a minute tops probably. Take a little bit of butter here, and then I'm just going to use my spatula to move it out into an oval. And we've got our quail eggs here. I'm going to drop those nice and slow into the pan. And that's perfect. We don't want them to spatter or sizzle. We just want to see the bottom of the egg whites turn white. Now, set your lid over top and then don't mess with it. If you take the lid off, that's going to release all the steam and all the heat that's built up in there. Just watch your eggs until you can just barely see that all the whites have been cooked through. See there? They're already done. We are almost there, I promise, but there's one more thing we have to do. We have to toast these English muffins. Set your broiler, and then using a fork, grab your English muffin, and then just perforate the sides all the way around. It's going to make sure that you still have nooks and crannies in your nooks and crannies English muffins, and then just split them open by hand. Take a little olive oil and a pastry brush, and just coat the tops of each of your muffins with a generous helping. That's going to help these brown up nice. Into the oven these go, and keep an eye on them so they don't get burnt. Here we go, it's time to plate. Grab the two halves of your English muffin and then stack them just a little bit off a kilter. Grab some of your dill cream and give each side a generous spoonful. Now for just one side, we're going to put down the shaved asparagus first. And I like to curl it a little bit. That just gives it a nice bit of texture. Grab one of your salmon fillets, and then we're just going to pierce it there and then pull it off in one full strip. Let's set that aside and just use your fork to flake off some of that fish. It's cooked just right. You don't have to use all the fish. In fact, I usually don't. Make sure each side of the sandwich has a good amount there. Then we'll add the shaved asparagus to this side. And take the skin, which smells and tastes a lot like bacon, and just drape it over the top. And drape your quail eggs similarly over top. Give it a little bit of cracked black pepper, and what the heck, a little bit of hot sauce. Or a lot of hot sauce, depending on how you feel about hot sauce. Finish it off, a little spritz of lemon juice to liven up the flavors, and a sprig or two of parsley for some color and garnish. There you have it, salmon croquet. That's really all there is to it. You can find all of my recipes at jeffscookbook.com. Until next time.